Hello, Mechwarriors, and welcome to the Mechbay, where we fix your mech and fix your game. What's going on, Mechwarriors? I'm your host, Josh, and I've got my two favorite co-hosts, Dustin and Denham, in the hot seats today. What's going on, gentlemen?
Howdy, howdy.
Am I really your favorite?
God, no. You're my fourth favorite out of three.
All right. At least I'm on the top five.
There you go. You're on the short list.
I'm on this short list, baby.
Oh, man. But today we're going to be talking about something near and dear to my heart, and that's melee/physical combat in BattleTech.
Hi-ya!
I was like, wait,
Wham.
y'all don't love punching and kicking as much as I do?
Nope.
I do.
Just not as much.
Just kicks. The occasional punch. Only kick, Dustin. Only kick.
Don't only pilot a Black Knight, so no, not quite as much.
Occasionally a charge or a shove if somebody's being sneaky on the map, but we'll get there.
Alrighty, but first, as always, let's get that BattleTech coolant flowing with some hobby news, hobby progress, and some fan mail.
No, that's happy news, Ron Burgundy.
I'm better. All right. But, okay, boys. Now, I'm personally still exhausted after Nova. Denham, have you recovered yet?
No, not even close. I don't like hanging around that many people. I really enjoyed playing BattleTech a whole lot. But then anytime I'm not rolling dice, there were so many people there. And I need that cooldown time.
Denham needs personal space.
I do.
What is it? I felt like that scene in Pacific Rim when Gypsy Danger is just walking out of the water to Alaska and just like keels over, lands. I'm like, yeah, no, that's me after literally every tournament. But Nova, that was a lot of tournament. So yeah, I still recovering heavily. Dustin, you didn't play, but how's that she shed coming?
I'm hanging sheetrock. We're getting there. Bit by bit.
Why do we all do this to ourselves?
Does this thing have like heating, AC, and a basement?
It is a 100 square foot house without a bathroom. I swear it is built to code, even though we don't need to pull permits because it's under the 12 foot in any dimension. You know, that's the rules. It's insulated. It's going to have sheetrock. It's got windows, door. It has an AC unit. It's got 2 circuit breakers and it's got a panel. Yeah. But we're close. I bought the flooring nail gun on Facebook Marketplace. I'm going to sell it when I'm done. The hardwood floor, rest of the sheetrock, and trim, and then we're done. So, maybe this year.
You're not going to mount the nail/rivet gun onto one of your industrial mechs and, enter into Solaris glorious combat?
Oh, I guess I shouldn't sell it.
Yeah. Yes, the Bush League of Solaris.
It's like, come here, I'm going to put these 5/8 staples in your face.
Alrighty, but that's enough of our personal lives of why we're still garbage. But, we actually have a lot of BattleTech news.
Woo.
In the, scheme of BattleTech, I should say. We have Shrapnel issue number 10. It's a double feature, folks. That's right. It's jam-packed with BattleTech short stories and content. But Shrapnel number 10 has an Ill Clan Chaos campaign in it.
I'm excited.
Ooh.
I'm really excited.
Come on.
This is good stuff.
I'll have to get this one. I mean, I've got a lot of them.
No, I get all of them. Even if I don't have time to read them, I support Shrapnel 100%. I want this to get big.
I have Shrapnel 1 through 7, and the guilt from not reading them is just killing me.
Oppressive.
Yeah, so I have stopped. They will be around. They're literally print on demand, so I will get to them. But this one might come first because Chaos Campaign, baby. Ill Clan, baby.
It's like National Geographic. It looks great on the shelf, but 90% of them you've never opened.
I'll be honest and be like, fiction is cool, but Chaos Campaigns are cooler.
Yeah, no, yeah. I'm super happy about that.
So, I think this will be like my big one, but I mean, that's fine. That's fine. Nobody's pressuring anyone to buy anything. I'm just saying this one has Chaos Campaign for Ilclan. So we've gotten the free Succession Wars one. We've got the Tukiad Chaos Campaign that came with the Tukiad book. And now we got the Ilclan one. So those are like, I'd say the top 3 played eras.
I would like to pressure people to buy number 10.
Is this a thick one? Is this a double
Yeah.
feature? It's
Double
just thick.
size. Yep.
Nice. All
Same
right.
price, twice as much.
All right.
Not like double stuffed Oreos, which have the same amount of fluff. They just add air to it, make it big.
Wait,
This
really?
isn't like that. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
I would be offended, but I don't buy those.
Okay, I'm a bird walk real hard, real fast. Oreos are inferior to the Hydrox. If you've ever had the original, because Oreo's the off-brand. Hydrox, oh man,
What?
Hydrox are so much better than actual Oreos.
You guys are both blowing my mind with like
This
this
is-
Oreo lore tonight.
Oreo
is
lore.
like- Yeah, this is like that whole competition between Twizzlers and Red Vines.
I mean, I
Oreos
like
and
Oreos,
Hydrox.
so I'll have to try these Hydrox out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
give them a try. They're different.
They're
But the same.
superior. They're not. They're not actually. The cookie's got a different texture. It's got that
It does.
mouth feel.
Denham and Josh coming into the Solaris VII arena with Hydrox and Oreo sponsorships. Who will win?
I'll paint the Oreo / Hydrox mech.
Why?
But yeah.
Why?
We're starting off strong, folks. Nova
That's
only
right.
killed most of our brain cells.
Yeah, I blame it on that.
Oh man, the alcohol wasn't priced high enough.
I did have a bit to drink at Nova.
Yeah. But anyways, so yeah, Shrapnel 10. The Eris, which was promised to us by Catalyst to come out in August, did not come out in August. So I'm still waiting to get the Hammerhead torso that was supposed to come with that. So
Yep.
we haven't heard anything about it. I'm a little, I don't want to say peeved. Disappointed is the word I'll use.
Is this supposed to be a resin release?
Yeah, this was the premium miniature, the next one
Okay.
after the Hammerhead. But
I
it
thought they
had
were
the,
dropping the premium title on those.
Ye-
I think they're just calling them like limited edition minis. They're not
Yeah.
calling them premium.
The premiums were the Stormcrow and the Black Knight from Creative Juggernaut. And
Right.
that's why they had the elevated price, because they were like proof of concept stuff. But now that we have Monster Fight Club doing them, they're no longer, like you said, premium, quote unquote. We're just, that's kind of the word that was originally there, so I'm using it.
Mm.
But they are not associating with it as premium. It's just, like you said, a limited time miniature release.
Right. And we're getting like, posable, like different arms sometimes and stuff.
Yeah. So I am waiting on the Eris to get that, but mainly for the Hammerhead torso, which is kind of weird, but I want more of that than the actual model.
Mm.
But what about you guys? Are you going to get the Eris when it eventually comes out?
I will. Of course I will. I get everything. Gotta
Bro,
catch
I don't
them
even
all.
know what an Eris is.
I would like another Hammerhead. I would. So if they ever have a second run of those or a third run or whatever, I want one. Another one.
I mean, the Eris is a 50-ton.
Is it a Jade Falcon bird mech?
Oh, come on. Actually, it's Intersphere.
What? I'll be darned.
It's essentially a Wolverine with a partial wing, snub-nose PPC, MML5s, and some small X-Pulse lasers. So,
I would
Nice.
100% pilot that.
yeah, no, it looks like a fun mech. And the art's
yeah.
actually pretty dope, but it's, I don't want to say it's a little basic, but I mean, it's your standard jumpy medium mech. Like, they all kind of look the same after a
Yeah,
while.
it's like you dreamed a dream of a Wolverine 2C.
Wolverine, Phoenix Hawk, smush them together, you get the
Yeah.
Eris. They literally even say it, but,
I like it.
wax poetic anyways. All right, what's next? We've got the beginner box. It's hitting shelves right now.
That is
Woo.
the one with the Vindicator and the Griffin, the new
Oh.
beginner box.
New beginner box.
Love that Vindicator.
You don't have to be beginner to buy it.
Just saying. Denham, it's beginners only.
No, I
no
need my
Vindicator for you.
Vindicators. I'm getting 2 of them.
I'm a buy one, take the models out, and stick a metal Vindicator and a metal Griffin in there and just put it back on the shelf. No, not true. I'll probably be giving away the metal Vindicator and Griffin in the box to like a needy mech warrior nearby. No, I'm excited because the Vindicator looks great and the Griffin looks great. So finally can get two. And I feel like the box is now, I mean, we all bought one except me, but now it's worth it more.
Yeah, I think it was a good idea on their part to swap out that second Wolverine for Vindicator.
Plus, I mean, this is like the more meta conversation. I feel like the Vindicator versus Griffin is a much closer fight than the Wolverine versus the Griffin. That was a little bit like, I don't want to say counterweighted. Like Wolverine's a better if you take the right variant. Yeah, exactly.
The reason why it worked in the box set is because there were no minimum ranges on the weapons.
Okay.
Right, because in beginner rules there are no minimum ranges. There's no heat. There's none of that silliness.
Why would they pick weapons with minimum ranges?
Don't know.
Like they chose the two mechs that are dependent on being minimum range mechs.
Yes.
Yeah. They had minis. That was a long time ago.
That's what it was. They had minis, and they're like, these two are close.
I'll accept that. I think, like I said, a Vindicator versus a Griffin is a pretty close combat, so I'm not too worried about that. Any other news that I might have missed?
Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, we've got books, but I'm bad about getting books.
That's all I've heard from the HBG.
All right. Ready to move on to some hobby progress?
Yep.
All right. So I'll start. I got some major hobby progress. I put out a bonus episode for our patrons.
All right.
Yeah. Mechbay After Dark, where you get to listen to us unfiltered raw / not raw, because nobody wants to listen to us without any editing.
No.
This was a big thing for me. I didn't want to put out content that I would feel gate kept like institutional knowledge. So these are purely entertainment episodes on the Patreon. Like there won't be things where I throw out, deep strategies and tactics and put those behind a paywall. These are just entertainment / thank yous for our patrons for supporting us. So we're just putting out bonus content for you to listen to and enjoy.
And there's a lot more drinking with us. Yeah.
You could say the cockpit is full of coolant at the start, and then,
That's right.
A little dry by the end of the episodes. So we'll have another one out this month. Well, we have fun doing those. That's the big thing.
A lot of fun.
In the miniature world, I finished up my crew for some 5 parsecs from home, my solo RPG campaign, because unfortunately nothing burns tournament Josh out than playing a tournament. So I have to start back up. Like, all right, I can't paint a mech for a month. So I painted
ease yourself back in.
Yeah, I really do. And it's the only way I keep myself, happy. So I painted up 7 humanoid models, and I'll be having fun with them on my weekends where I can't go out and play Battletech. Like, it's much more storytelling. Yeah, so I enjoy them. Like, I definitely try to do much more of a speed paint for these guys. So, like, they only have 4 or 5 primary colors on them. And then I was like, oh, because they're not, what's the word? They're not for, the tabletop for other people. Like, I can paint them literally whatever I want. So I got mix match colors on some of them. I've got weird, designs. Like, guns are the same, but different colors just because having fun with it. So It's kind of free.
Uninhibited hobbying.
So that's pretty much it for me. Dustin, what about you?
Are we doing games played?
We're on hobby progress.
I can drop it. Okay. I printed some lizards. I painted one of them for fun. Didn't prime them, just threw some paint on that gray boy. And then I painted some thicker lizards with guns. They have guns. Pretty cool. We already talked about the She Shed. I did a tiny bit of Free Worlds League painting, just a little bit, and that's pretty much it. The shed's been taken up most of the time, mostly hobby oxygen. Kind of get over the hill of my tournament, and then getting gear for prepping for Southern Assault. It's probably the plan, but that's what I did. That's what I actually did. Denham, any hobby progress for you?
Actually, yeah. So there was a lot of cool terrain that people brought to Nova. A lot of stuff printed by like Thunderhead Studios and stuff, which made me think of Dustin, your city board that your permanent one that you bring along. So I have been remotivated to do one for my hobby store.
Nice.
So I've been printing and painting buildings and roads and rivers, getting those lined up and all set up. And I finished printing and priming a Duncan Davian's building to be part of the, one of the Karita optional objectives in the city fight.
Nice.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
That'll
It's
look
gonna
good.
Awesome when it's done in 3 to 6 years.
I want to start over. I hate to admit it. I want to get rid of / sell my city and print a new one.
Take a heat gun to it and just make it a wrecked city.
I can't do that either. We'll see. I'll probably end up doing nothing. So
that's pretty much it for hobby progress. Then we've got some fan mail. Let's get to that real quick. So Jared T writes, the golden age of Battletech finally reached my area. The Battletech play group I go to has a lot of interest from new and old players alike. Both Classic and Alpha Strike 350 are building community. One thing I've also wanted to run or participate in is a campaign. Could you guys do an episode on campaign play? Denham seems to have had great success with it, but I don't even know where to start other than picking up the campaign operations book.
That's a great start. Like, really?
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure we did an episode on campaign play.
We did. Just have to find the number.
Episode 21, Taking Your Mech on Campaign.
Yeah.
So that one, we pretty much run over all of the basics of like, all right, you've got a buffet of campaign options and you have to pick which ones you want to use. And that's really a discussion for the GM and all the players. Like, do you want to be counting C-bills? Do you just want to be counting like war chest points? Do you want to have to hire Aztecs, medical staff, drop ships, jump ships, count out days, roll to see who has a heart attack because they had a triple F burger, stuff like that. So
it can be as deep or as shallow as you need it to be.
Exactly. So yeah, episode 21, check us out if you haven't already. If you have and you still have more questions, just send us back an email and we'll try to answer the hard questions. But like Denham said, just pick up campaign ops by this point. Like, either if I will say, try the chaos campaigns from Succession War / Two Kids / the new one, the Ill Clan one, whichever era you're playing. See if that's like too intro, like too basic, and if you want to go deeper than that, or keep it how it is.
Yep. And then if you want to add role-playing elements, the light stuff is Destiny, and the heavy stuff, the crunchy stuff, is A Time of War. So, as deep as you want.
As deep as you want.
So deep.
Anyways, games played. We actually got some games played this time. After Nova, we were like, yeah, let's keep rolling dice until we hate it. Oh, man. You know what? Dustin, you brought it up, so I'll let you go first.
I got a quick 7.5K Ill Clan game in. I was kind of letting one of the local guys run his list. He's a newer player. I feel kind of bad, but I took him to I ran a competitive list, I'd say. But it was a good game, and he kind of like just going back to the drawing board a little bit with his list, but it was mostly good to just roll dice. It had been a little bit since I played Classic, so it was good. That's the game I got in. Anybody else?
Denham, you got a couple of games in?
Quite a few games. I ran a campaign day on Saturday, and I ran 2 campaign games and 1 blind box game, and then I did another campaign for a bunch of people who couldn't make it on Saturday the next Tuesday. But now our store is out of blind boxes, so we can't do that anymore.
It's a finite resource.
Yeah, they went through 10 pallets in a week and a half.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Y'all need some, what is it? Some you to go to gambling therapy?
Gambling. Yep. It's a popular game type.
I do want to try it out.
You should. It's awesome. How about you, Josh? You get any games in?
I did my,
you did.
my what did I call it? My community service
Yeah.
campaign day. I was like, I write the missions. I might as well DM one game of it. I do 25% of the work of actual dice. But I did me and 4 other players. That was fun.
Seriously appreciate the GM assist.
What is it? Like I said, we're doing advanced tech, so I took out some Comstar special tech, like the Warhammer with jump jets and the Rifleman with ultra autocannon 5s. Also got to use my Raijin in Classic for the first time. That was the big thing. I was like, I want to use some Raijin. Yeah.
How was it?
The Raijin was excellent. Like every
Nice.
turn, they had to get lucky, and every shot they'd hit the left torso and just took the XL out. And I was like, thanks guys. Come on, you couldn't even spread the love around.
Yeah, I got to use my the ShadowHawk with the Rack 5 in my game. I really like that one.
What was it? The highlight of that game was my Rifleman targeted Scott's Centurion. And I was like, well, I got 2 large lasers and 2 UAC 5, so we'll just double tap because we're in short range. Large laser hits the head. The UAC 5, gets out of the 4 shots. I get 3 of them through cluster rolls. 2 of those hit the head as well.
Woo!
I was like, okay, so that's 5 shots and 3 of them hit the head.
It's like 18 points of damage to the head. Right?
Yeah, I was like, ooh, as a DM, I feel kind of bad. Like, I'll hit the head once, but that's a little much. So I was like, let's re-roll the UAC 5s. And they 12s turned into 11s. I was like, ew, dice, calm down. You're not at the Nova anymore. Then proceed
the other dice, Josh.
Yeah, use the other dice. And then I proceeded to do the same thing to my other player, Neil. I was like, dice, stop.
Chill out.
We're back home. Go casual. I swear the dice aren't loaded. I swear. Peace.
Now, go ahead.
No, that's it for me.
Now, one thing I want to mention that I heard through the grapevine that neither one of you were running this table, but a different table. The GM annihilated all their players, and they ended up going home with negative points or whatever.
Negative 79 supply points.
Woo.
So everybody had to subtract from their total.
Wait, you actually made them subtract?
100% I did.
What?
No.
These serious
missions are not
business.
these missions are not all easy. You can mess up and go home in the negative.
So I should let my players die?
Yes. It makes the tension, man.
Don't
Tension.
try, but if the players earned it, which these players did, I was watching. If your players earned it,
Okay.
You deserve it.
Yeah, there are consequences to your actions.
I was like, Lady Luck is a little too on my side right now versus, them being dumb players. But
When you say, I need 10s to hit, I'm going to fire everything and go up to 30 heat, because I've got to hit something. No, you don't.
No, you don't.
You don't. You're going to shut down.
That's
your
look,
fault.
The consequences of my actions.
It's hot in here.
Oh, man.
All right.
But that's pretty much it for games played. I think we'll have some more soon, but until then, we've got some event calendar stuff. Oh, that's right. No, this is the community call to action where I say, listeners, send me your events. If you've got a Battletech event, whether it be Classic or Alpha Strike, email me at the Mechbay podcast at gmail.com, or else it's not going to get added to the calendar. I will shout out your event on air if I know about it, because my desk commandos are really struggling right now, coming up dry. So you know what? If you've got an event or anything, just let us know and we will put it on air so we can get more people into your seats. All right, let's take a quick break, see who's broadcasting at the Pirate Jump Point. And when we get back, we'll be talking all about making melee matter.
Mechwarriors, when your fusion plant is running on low and it's finally time to restock that rumbling ammo bin in your gut, reach for the drink that will put those PPC capacitors into overload and that crunchy mouthful that slams a fresh round into the AC-20. Your friends at Charlie Company Cider Company have just tagged a new ammo dump on your tech map, announcing our new partnership with Taco Shark. Get yourself a cold, crisp can of 4 C's hot dog cider and a 2-pound fish-adjacent taco for the low price of only half a Fox credit. With locations in all Clancy Fox trade compounds, visit Taco Shark today to taste Major Reller's 65.3% satisfaction guarantee. Don't let your stomach empire be left alone in 114. Visit Taco Shark and get a cool and flush from Charlie Company Cider Company. Read following text in full. Major Reller's 65.3% satisfaction guarantee does not extend to Taco Shark products and only applies to Charlie Company Cider Company's products when consumed within 1 jump of Solaris VII as per court mandate. Warning, the Canopus Health Authority has deemed Charlie Company Cider Company's products are not fit for human consumption and may be only used as industrial solvents and janitorial Charlie Company Cider Company. That'll be 2 hot dog ciders for me.
I'd like to thank Metalhead and the rest of Charlie Company for fighting a trial of audio for the rights to broadcast that masterpiece. All right, and we are back for the glorious melee combat episode. Unfortunately, in the meantime, Dustin's reactor stack pulled, and currently we have search and rescue looking for the corpse. Looking for the body. Looking for the pilot. But it's just going to be me and Denham wrapping this one up. But we can talk melee. We've catched some hands around the battlefield once or twice, right, Denham? So the question is, what actually is melee combat when it comes to classic BattleTech? Physical damage? Anything that does physical damage in my brain?
Yeah, anything that contacts, like that you cause to physically contact another mech to do damage or displace him or
That's
her
true.
Or them.
Now,
because a shove, a push can count as a melee attack, but it does no damage. So
now, if I remember correctly, all melee/physical attacks are done after all the shooting.
That is correct. So if someone is charging at you, you have a chance to shoot them with enough damage to make them fall down before they get to you. And then they're on their face and you can kick them in the head instead of them charge you off the map.
Yeah. So that's a big point of separation. It's like melee is like distinctly separate from shooting in the phases of the game.
Right. There are a few very weird exceptions, but in general, they're 2 independent phases.
Yeah. Where to start?
I'd like to start in my imagination because a lot of people think of mechs as these tanks on legs that are really slow. I grew up watching a lot of Robotech, and I don't feel that battle mechs are the same fluid motion as a Veritech fighter. But I think they're somewhere in the middle of how they are in the like the Mechwarriors series of video games. As I've said before, I don't think that you could go around doing cartwheels in a mech, but I do think they look, because of the neurohelmet interface, they are more fluid and more lifelike than just a tank with legs.
They're not the arthritic mechs of MechWarrior Online and
right. I think that a truly talented pilot, like somebody in the piloting 2 skill or lower, can do, rough versions of some martial art blocks and things. Nothing super fancy, no flying kicks, no Bruce Lee moments here. But definitely more than just swinging your torso and hoping that the big hand hits.
Yeah. So let's go over why you would engage in melee rather than shooting, because as we all know, having a gun is better than having a sword in real life. But on a mech, does that always apply? So when do we like to do melee?
Obviously, the real answer is why not both? You've got weapons. As long as they're not on your arms or legs, you can fire weapons in the fire phase and do melee attacks in the melee phase. But I guess the real question is, why would you want to be so close that melee is even an option?
Yeah.
The cool factor is a big one. Like bashing somebody what's the name of that movie? Pacific Rim.
Mhm.
You know, why don't they just go to the blazing sword right at the beginning and chop the thing in half, or shoot it with the plasma cannon and win? Because giant robots punching things is cool.
It is. And also,
It's very cool.
if you can weaken something before it gets to you and have like a really easy chance to, you know, just give one big punch or kick to put them out of their misery, it's like you've saved yourself a lot of time.
Well, that's also true. If you really want to hit a specific location, punches are rolled on the punch table, so you have a 1 in 6 chance of hitting the head. You're always going to hit something from the waist up, and a kick is always going to hit one of the legs. I mean, yes, there's the level differences and everything, but all things being equal, if you're both on the same level, a kick is guaranteed to hit the leg, a punch is guaranteed to hit the torso, arms, or head. So if you're behind somebody and they have weak torso armor that you've already softened up with some medium lasers, that punching that fist through to get that ammo crit is a whole lot easier.
I like to use melee. I want to say I use it for two things. I use it primarily as like a blocking, like the person up front. If someone's going to try to run through my line, I want something to be able to hit them point blank. And normally the best thing is for point blank, because in Classic you can shoot and melee as long as you're not doing melee with a weapon in the hand, because you each arm or, you know, mech location can only shoot or melee essentially.
Correct.
So I like mechs that can do both, especially if like, okay, a ShadowHawk does okay damage shooting. It's kind of bracketed range wise that I'm not always getting everything out of it, but it does have 2 hands and it does have 2 legs, which means if I want it to punch something and, you know, hit something above the belt, essentially, I can. If I want something to kick, which is easier, I can kick. So,
right, like there are advantages. Like, which do you do is a quintessential question, because, like you said, kicks have advantages. They are easier to hit. If they do hit, they do twice as much damage as a single punch. It's all to one location, and it's an instant PSR. So you have a chance. The smallest 20-ton mech kicking the largest 100-ton Atlas has the same chance of knocking it to the ground. Yeah. And that's a big deal. However, with punches, you can do 2 of them if you didn't fire anything from either arm, and you have a 1 in 6 chance of hitting the head. So less damage, but especially if the pilot already has some pilot damage, you have a chance of knocking your opponent out.
Yeah. So those are the 2 most basic options: punching and kicking.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we can only.
Episode's done.
Yeah. No, I mean, I want to say that at least everyone that's probably played a couple games has experienced a punch or kick. So I don't want to like spend all the time on them, but they are worth like going a little deeper in. So, like I said, if you want a punch, you can't shoot the weapons in the arms. If there's no weapons in the arms, punches are free in that regard.
Yes. There are quite a few mechs like that. Like the Spider has medium lasers in the torso. Their arms are always free. You can always get your two punches in the back from jumping in with the Spider.
Yeah. And there's no risk if you fail punches.
Yeah.
That's pretty key. Like if you have a good piloting skill, because melee works off the piloting skill instead of the gunnery.
It does now. It didn't used to. Originally, it didn't matter what your piloting skill was. Physical attacks all had a base 2-hit number that they started with, no matter what. So you could have a 1 pilot and a 6 pilot, and your punches would both start at, I think, 4 or 5.
That sounds awful.
It was awful. It was awful. They changed that at the Master Rules, I believe.
Oh, man.
Yeah. I think that came out in 94 or something like that.
Man.
The old days.
But yeah, so punches, I like to use punches if I've already opened up like a torso or arm location or a head. Like,
right.
I'm only rolling a 1d6 for location if I can hit. I don't get any bonuses, no minuses to hit, but I mean, tonnage divided by 10 is still good. Like a 50 tonner does 5. That's a medium laser. So if I have a medium laser that could maybe hit legs, but I really want it to hit something on the upper torso, I'm probably just going to take the melee punch.
I mean, if you're piloting something huge, 100-ton mech, if he hits with both hands, that's 20 points of damage in one phase. That's a PSR. Plus 10 points gets you a crit on heads. It may not take the head completely off, but you'd get a crit if you hit it. Now, kicking, on the other hand, is also 20 points for an assault, which would give them 2 PSRs, one for being kicked and one for having 20 points of damage. And they'd be 2 harder PSRs because you take all the modifiers. So, it's very dependent to me on how, like, what does the other mech look like? It's very, it's an individual. There's no clear, you always do this.
No, it's always situational, and you always have
situational. That's the word I'm looking for.
You always have to take into account what the situation is. Like I said, punches, they're hard to make. Like, you don't get any inherent bonus, but you do have a 1 in 6 chance of hitting the head, which could cause, a pilot hit, and then consciousness, and then failure, and then they fall. It's very risk reward. There's not a lot of risk, though. It's just harder to get to.
Right. There's not a lot of risk. So yeah. If I'm behind someone, I tend to punch more than kick because of weak torso armor, because you're guaranteed to hit a much higher chance of hitting a torso section than you are shooting a weapon.
That's true.
If you're already behind them, you might as well make holes. Just make holes that you can take advantage of again later.
It's true. So on the other side of that coin, on the basic coin, is the glorious and well-respected kick. Because all of our mechs went to Brazilian kickboxing courses.
They all have legs to begin with.
These legs aren't just for walking. Yeah, I mean, kicks are a -2 because it's real easy to kick. But if you fail the kick, then you have to roll a PSR to see if you stay standing. So there's your easy to make, big risk.
Right. So if you hit, you cause your target to make a PSR. If you miss, you have to make a PSR. And if both of you are kicking each other and they kick you and you kick them and miss, that's 2 PSRs that you have to make. So they are cumulative. Yeah, easier. And especially like if a mech is prone in front of you, when you kick them, it's not like you break it up into 5-point clusters like you do with so many other things. It's all done in one location. So that ShadowHawk, he's 55 tons, so he does a 12-point kick. That's 12 points in one spot.
Yeah, that is key, because if you can maneuver your mech, you can know also exactly which leg you're hitting.
Correct, yes. So front or rear, you have to roll on the leg hit table, but if you're in the right or left arc, you're hitting the right or left leg. There's no way around it. So if somebody's got a weak leg and you can position yourself on that flank, you're going to hit that leg.
I almost want to say that's the most valuable thing in BattleTech, is being able to know exactly where your damage is going to be applied.
There's so many important moments where you're just like, well, I just don't know where I'm going to hit. But yes, if you can say for sure, if I hit, this is going to happen, it gives you a lot of power.
Yeah.
If you can take advantage of it.
Yeah. Any mech, and like you said, any mech can force a PSR if it makes contact. So your little Oz Scout or Spider can take down an Atlas just by, kicking it in the shins.
One little kick. Kapow. Ah!
Now, all things considered equal, I'm probably kicking more than I'm punching, just statistically.
I would say that yes, the kicks in the games that I've played over the years, kicks have been the more popular because in general they're more useful, but there are specific situations where punches are the correct answer. And I'm glad we have the option to do both.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not talking right now about special pilot abilities or quirks or anything like that, because some of those can really change the dynamic as well.
Yeah.
So right now we're just talking about basic rules, punches, kicks, the stuff that you find in the Battle Mech manual. aside from the quirk table.
The only times I probably wouldn't punch at all is if I only have weapons in my arms, like something like a thug or warhammer. Things without hands also.
Yeah, because that is a little bit harder. The fewer actuators you have, the harder it is to punch and the less damage you do with a punch.
Yeah, so some mechs are really designed not to punch.
Right.
But that's not me saying that you should not punch with those. There will come a time where your opponent has, no more torso armor and only leg armor.
Yeah, no more torso armor and ammo bins in those torsos.
It's like, pray to Blake, I'm punching.
I may only do half damage, but I only have to do 1 point.
That's true. The big thing about physical combat, and this is all physical combat, does heat affect melee attacks?
Heat does not affect melee attacks. If you're at 14 heat and it's so hard for you to shoot, but you run up and do a physical attack, you don't have to worry about those heat modifiers. They are not affected. And also, as long as we're talking about that, sensor crits, where you're having big time trouble shooting, just go all melee, because sensor crits don't affect melee. Heat doesn't affect melee. The only thing that affects melee is your piloting skill and any
actuators or stuff.
Any actuator damage that you have.
Yeah, so I can see on the turn that they're going, like they are coming and they only have the max movement to get in the hex in front of you and they need to go there, like there's an objector or something, I will raise my heat to ludicrous levels of heat because I know they're going to come there and it's like, all I need after this is one turn with one good punch and I can take that mech down.
Plaid.
Yeah. Yeah, like Black Knights, great for that. Other really focused energy mechs, great for the overheat one turn and then go full melee the next turn.
Or even, also that turn. So you alpha strike, you go way up in heat, and then when it comes time to punch and kick, you don't have those modifiers this turn or next turn. So, yeah.
You'll have it the next turn for shooting, though.
We're correct, for shooting, but not for melee.
Yeah.
But not for melee.
So you go, you double up on your turn, you get hot.
Yep, exactly.
Oh. All right, so those are punches and kicks. We like them. Let's go into the more obscure, but also still core rulebook melee things. So besides using your hands and using your feet, we've got pushing, we've got charging, we've got death from above, and we have clubs.
All right. So pushing has got to be the most bad feeling maneuver you could possibly do in this game.
Is that why I do it to you?
I've done it to so many people. You've done it to me.
Pushing wins games.
Oh, it does. It's that whole, I don't want somebody to get behind me, so I'm going to hug the edge of the map. And I had a pristine Wolverine in a mission who was going to cause a lot of problems. And I was piloting a Wasp that had no more ammo and his gun got blown off. He was, he was so close to dead. And I just walked over to the Wolverine and pushed it off the map. And the pilot's like, "Oh, well, when do I come back on?" And we're like, you don't. You're gone. You are considered destroyed. He's like, but I didn't have any damage. It's a bad feeling type of thing, but it wins games. You can push people off maps. You can push people off cliffs. You can push people off objectives. You can move them from the hex that they are in and to the hex that you want them to be in.
Yes, and it's very, very powerful.
It's only a -1, so it's easier than punching, but harder than kicking. But it's just a piloting skill roll. You roll the die, and you either don't push them and nothing happens, or you push them and they move. No damage. Yeah.
What is it? The big thing being is you can't shoot the weapons in either of your arms, but you can shoot the weapons in your torso when you push.
Yes.
So if you have like a nice like zombie-ish mech, you can still do be as effective. But then, okay, that didn't work. Let's try the old push them somewhere else. Yeah, I like pushing. Pushing's one of those key skills.
It's one of those things people don't use until it's used against them, and then you just see the light bulb. Like, oh, I'm very unhappy about how this happened, but I have someone that I play who's going to get really mad about it. So it's like pay it forward, but with anger.
Pay it forward with pushing. Push it forward. Push
There
it
you
forward.
go. Push it forward.
Push it real good.
Are we changing the name of this particular episode?
Push it real good. Punch it real good, maybe. But I'm trying to think anything else about pushing I like. So there's no like weight difference requirement. Like your 20-tonner can push the 100-ton Atlas.
Yeah.
So melee's pretty the great equalizer of weapons.
It is. I believe there are alternate rules in some of the Tech Ops books that talk about weight differences in melee.
Yeah.
But once again, we're not covering those rules right now. We're just covering the basic out of the box. This is what you can do type thing.
Now the thing is, you have to end your movement in the hex in front of the enemy, so they can still kick you, they can still punch you, and they can still shoot you.
Well, I mean, they have to be in your front arc.
Yes.
You don't have to be in their front arc. So if you come at them from the back, they cannot kick you, and they can only punch you if they have already rotated their torso.
Yeah. It's still just...
But there is danger. There is definitely danger.
No melee is dangerless.
Yes.
There's nothing safe about getting into melee
if you're
combat.
Close enough to push them, you are in range of something.
All right, let's move on to charges. So
charges is like a violent push.
It's a violent push.
So
it's a push with anger.
This is one of the few ones where they actually take the opponent's piloting skill into account as well. So it's no modifier for a charge except for the difference between the target's pilot skill and the attacker's pilot skill. So if your pilot skill is a 4 and theirs is a 2, it's actually going to be a +2 modifier to your roll to charge them, and vice versa. So this is where you really want those 5/3 pilots that Josh likes so much. They can't shoot worth crap, but they can charge you.
Their special ability is damage. I'm okay with that.
Now, charging is also one of those skills that has changed over the years. It used to be you only counted the number of hexes you moved in a straight line, and you had to be moving at running or flank speed. None of that is true anymore. You can go in a curved line. You don't even have to run to charge. You can charge at a walk. The most important thing is that you have enough movement to enter their hex.
Yes.
Right. So if they're in woods, you have to have enough movements to enter the hex and the woods, or go up and down a hill that they're in. You have to be able to legally enter their hex with that amount of movement, of the movement points you have left. And the amount of damage you do to them is your weight divided by 5 times
by 10
the number of hexes you moved, not counting the hex that you're going to move into their space. So if you move 8 hexes and they are 8 hexes away, your damage is multiplied by 7. It is not multiplied by that 8th hex.
1 point of damage per 10 tons the charge unit's weight times the hex moved.
Not divided by 5, divided by 10. Got it. Okay.
So for damage, though, the target takes 1 point of damage per 10 tons the charging unit's weight times the hexes moved.
Yes.
Yeah. The charging unit, though, takes 1 point of damage per 10 tons of the target weight. And both of these damages are in groups of 5.
Yes.
So
on the full body table.
On the full body table. I mean, it's like a whole bunch of little medium lasers. And I don't know if there's an ideal weight to speed ratio. I mean, it's probably somewhere in the fast.
Absolutely is.
The curve, the bell curve is like the super fast medium.
What I just said about not counting the hex that they're standing in is a nerf that didn't used to be.
Why are they nerfing melee so much?
Well, it's they nerfed that, but they buffed it in that you don't have to move it in a straight line.
Okay. I was about to have some angry emails here.
No, there was a little bit of give, a little bit of take. But still, a Charger, which is an 80-ton mech that moves 5'8", that can do a lot of damage when it charges. A whole lot of damage. Are you mathing right now?
I am mathing right now. If you would like to do the math, I would be happy to defer math to you. All right, so we got an 80-tonner. So that's 8 points times 8. Now it can't move. It can't physically move 8. The max it can actually charge is 7.
Right, so it's times 7.
So that's 56 damage in groups of 5.
Yep, so that is 11 groups of 5 and a group of 1.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
Now, you can't fire any weapons if you're charging.
No,
so
but
I
at
know
that
that
point,
the
do you
Charger has
need
5
to?
small lasers.
Do you need to?
Yeah, no, you don't.
Like,
so once you hit with a charge, what happens? Well, it's like a push. So
yeah, if you succeed, your mech moves to where the target is. The target mech moves behind in the direction
directly behind, if it can.
Yes.
If it can't, it is just instantly destroyed.
Really?
Yes.
Like if there's a level 2 cliff that they're behind to shield their backside, and you charge into them, you destroy
them.
You just Looney Tunes splat them on the wall?
Correct. Or if they're on the edge of the map, you just push them off of the, because all maps are all battles are fought on plateaus that are like thousands of meters high.
It's my headcanon, and I'm not sharing it. It's that or like the ring where like, okay, here's the markers for the battle, and if any mech goes outside, it's auto shutdown. Yeah. If the charge misses, move to the front left or the right of the target's arc.
But your choice.
Yes. You get to decide which side you juke to.
If the charge misses, the attacking mech chooses to move into the hex to the right or left of the attacker's forward arc. If one of those hexes is prohibited terrain, the other hex must be chosen. If both are prohibited, the attacker does not move. If the charge succeeds, the attacker then advances into the target's hex. If the target mech is not destroyed, it is displaced into the adjacent hex in the direction that the attacker charged it. If this displaces the target mech into a hex 2 or more levels lower than its current hex, it automatically falls to full height. Regardless, if the mech is already in the hex, it is displaced into see displacement on page 55. And that displacement rule says that if it can't ever be displaced, it is destroyed.
Man. So there are some bad options for charging for everyone involved. Yes. Now the big thing is once you hit, you still have to make the PSR to stay standing.
Correct.
And those are at +2, if I'm thinking correctly, for everyone involved in the charge.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's a full-on tackle. This is not just a gentle, shove with the shoulder. This is ramming speed with an 80-ton mech.
Yep, the attacking and the target mech must both make PSRs with a +2 target modifier.
And if they fail, they fall, they take more damage. No one's happy anymore. So have you ever charged? I think that's the next big question.
Oh, I've charged all the time. I've charged recently.
Recently?
Yeah.
ABC, always be charging.
Yeah, I am not afraid to charge. Especially if you are on a cliff or near the edge of the map. If you're next to the edge of the map, I mean, you are fair game. So I will take advantage of that.
If you're on the edge of the map, Blake put you there for me to punish you.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want me to get behind you with my little Jenner, huh? I will charge you.
Yeah, you're gonna learn today. But no, I actually have not charged very often. I say that, and the Greyhound, the mascot mech, I designed it specifically to be charging. It's a heavy that moves, up to 12. So yep. So 60 times 11, or 60 divided
60 divided by 10 times 11 is 66. It's a lot.
That's a lot of damage.
It is.
And yeah, but I haven't charged much. I always prefer pushing just because then I'm not risking the damaging myself. I'm not risking the fall. I'm not risking the opponent's fall. Normally what I need to do can just be done in a push. But if I've like lost weapons, because the charge doesn't care about like your arms or anything like that. It's just
I play too much Gasland, so my brain defaults to the rule of carnage. And if what I can accomplish with a push can also be accomplished with a charge, I feel that is the better option.
Yeah.
Especially if I have that lower pilot out there, the 5-3 guy going up against, other 4-5s or whatever. Because then you're almost guaranteed to get that hit.
Yeah. There's also the situation where I'm using a lot of light mechs, and those guys can actually be hurt more by the charge than just running around and doing like a kick or a punch, because like a mongoose, 25 tons, so 2.5 times 11, that it'll take a lot of damage itself.
Well, it's only going to take 1 point for every 10 tons of the target. There's no
target weight. You're right. So
yeah. So it's significantly less. It's as if the target punched you.
I still don't like to be punched by assault mechs.
A charge is not in every attack type of thing. You don't want to be a pinball, but in those moments where you want to move the assault mech somewhere, but also do some damage to it. I mean, a charge is a great thing. It's a very dramatic, fantastic. It looks great in my headcanon.
So when you're imagining charge, are you like imagining the Juggernaut, like just crashing through walls, chasing after the person?
It depends on the mech.
Depends.
It really
oh,
does.
come on.
Every mech has their own, unique idiom. They have their own way of doing things.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with the Juggernaut crashing through walls, chasing the light mech, because he's going to charge in the light mech. And no matter what, he's crushing it.
Whenever my urban mech charges, that's what he pictures himself as. But then you zoom out and he's like,
buddy. Oh man.
He can do like what, 6 points on a charge?
That's better than a small laser if he's ran out of ammo.
Yeah. Oh, my small laser ran out of ammo. Yep, you're right. I better charge.
Oh, the poor little guy. All right, we've spent enough on charging. Let's keep moving on.
Hey, if you haven't done it, try it. That's my advice. Try all of these. Try every single one of them.
I guarantee you've tried pushing, or I guarantee you've tried punching, and you've tried kicking. Now I'm showing you the dessert table, and it's got pushes and charges.
Yes, try them all.
All right, here's the one that not every mech is legally able to do. And
everybody wants to at least once.
Why is that? Why does everyone want a death from above?
Because it sounds cool. I'm getting Starship Trooper flashbacks. Those tattoos that they all got.
Death from above. Let's pour some beer on it now.
I mean, what's not to love about taking this giant, 50 to 100 ton lump of metal, launching it in the air on rocket boosters, and then landing it on some other guy?
Like,
it just
great.
Seems like the right thing to do. But don't. It is absolutely the quintessential last ditch effort, and it should be. You should not. This should not be in your tackle box of. Oh, I have options. That is never one of your options. If you have another option, this is the option. If you have no other options, and you're probably not going to survive till the next round anyway.
Plan Z.
Yes, this is Plan Z
for last resort only.
Yeah, it seems like such a great idea. I mean, it does a lot of damage, and all that damage is on the punch table of your target. And you might take, or you will take some damage on your legs if you succeed, but you have a good chance of just squashing the cockpit of the enemy, like a little bug.
I mean, even if you don't hit the cockpit, you're crushing something.
You'd think. I mean, that's the problem is you'd think. But first of all, pulling off a death from above is not easy. There are so many things you have to overcome first.
All right.
First of all, you have to win initiative. Because if your target hasn't moved, he cannot be the target of a charge or a DFA. They just cannot.
You got to see what you're going to land on is stopped.
Then you can't fire anything. Nothing. You are also frozen in time 3 levels above the hex that is your target, which means you have no cover. Everybody can shoot at you. Unless you're in like a valley with a lot of like level 4 and 5 hexes around you, they can see you because you are 3 levels up. And if you're a regular mech, that means that you're 5 levels high because 3 plus 2. So
hold on. So it's your attacker's piloting skill roll. So normally 5. You jumped, so because you got to jump. So
yep.
That's plus 3. So you're already at 8.
Yep.
If the target moved at all, you're adding their TMM.
Yep.
So
you do not add the terrain that's in there. So even if they're in heavy woods, you ignore that.
So that's a good thing. That's good. So at minimum, unless it's an immobile target, it's an 8.
At minimum, if you are a standard 4/5 pilot.
Yeah.
It's an 8 at minimum if they didn't move. But if they did move, and it also depends on their piloting skill, because this is another one where it is a contested skill. So assuming they are also a 4/5, then your target number starts at best an 8, and it only gets worse from there.
Only gets worse. Yeah, if they are a better skilled pilot at dodging your attack, it makes it harder for you to hit, and vice versa. If you're a better skilled pilot than they are, it makes it easier. But by then, it's already easier. So,
yep. But then you're in the air for the entire shooting phase, where everybody can shoot at you, and if somebody forces a PSR on you, and you fail, you automatically fall and fail your DFA. Automatically.
Now, is the risk versus reward for a DFA there? If it ignores terrain modifiers, and if the target is immobile, it's -4. If the target is prone and immobile, or if the target is prone, it's -2.
Yes.
So if they're prone and immobile, like they've shut down, they've fallen, it's a -6.
Oh yeah, you can curb stomp that mech, no problem. Right. But most of the times it's you're DFAing because your mech is broken and theirs is in way too good shape, and you will lose unless you pull off some sort of a Hail Mary. And that's when it should be used, is when your mech is going to get destroyed anyway. So at least you're in the air, at least you've got a jumping, a plus whatever modifier for jumping, and they might miss you. Because if you do land and you do hit, that's the big payoff, with an asterisk.
How much damage does a death from above do to the target?
To determine the damage done to the target, you divide the weight of the attacking mech by 10 and multiply the result by 3, rounding fractions up. So a Jenner, which weighs 35 tons, inflicts 11 points of damage. So that is broken up into 5-point damage groupings, and it is rolled on the punch table. Unless the target mech is prone, in which case it is always against the full body rear table.
Oh, man.
But then the attacker, on a successful attack, the attacker divides his weight or her weight by 5, and then divides the result into 5-point damage value groupings, and is rolled on the kick table. So it's going to take some damage on its legs.
Yeah,
there are some quirks that.
It's like you knew what I was working towards.
Well, yeah, like the Highlander burial. You use the Highlander. The Highlander has some beefy leg actuators. It's going to take half that damage.
Thick legs, sir. With those reinforced legs, it takes half, which is really good.
Yeah. So unlike a charge, the attacking mech will always end up in the target hex. But it could look differently depending on if it was a successful attack or a failure. So if the DFA succeeds, the target, if it's not destroyed, is displaced 1 hex in the direction opposite the attack, like a push or a charge. If this results in the target being pushed off the playing area, the target is destroyed. It also follows normal displacement rules. If the DFA fails, the target chooses any legal adjacent hex and moves to it, even if it's immobile or prone. Unlike normal, this can be an occupied hex, and if it is, it creates displacement rules, so you got to go look at that. If the target mech is displaced into a hex 2 or more levels, it automatically falls. If the target mech would be displaced into prohibited terrain, then it is destroyed.
That's a lot. And after all that, I don't know if Death from Aboves are worth it.
For how little it is used, the amount of rules you have to go through to make sure that it is correct. I mean, it basically says, okay, your mech is about to be destroyed. Would you like to keep the pilot alive for another 25 minutes because you say I went to DFA? Because that's what's going to happen. You're going to go find the rule book.
We're going to run the clock out, boys.
Yeah, exactly. Be prepared for that to take 15 to 25 minutes for it to resolve.
I had a player at my table say, there's like 4 or 5 people playing, and I'm the DM. And he's like, I want a Death from Above. And I'm like, cool, you're going last. Here's the rule book. You tell me how to do it. Because you're new, and if you want to do it, you're going to learn. I'm not going to spoon feed Death from Above. I'll spoon feed 98% of other rules.
Yeah, because it's always like the new players who went to DFA, the old players do it at the right point because they've been there. They know that this is a last ditch effort and it's just something fun. The new players thinks it's really cool until you start telling them all the bad things. We all get to shoot at you right now. Oh, if you make a PSR and fail, you're going to fall right now. If you miss, if they miss, also when they fall, they take all their damage on the rear table. So you always fall on a DFA on your back. There are so many bad things that can happen.
I mean, it's just like wrestling. It's just like off the top of the ladder, steel cage match.
Yeah.
It looks great for TV. Terrible for the insurance premiums.
And the worst thing in the world is when you do, in fact, make it through all of those hurdles and you land the DFA. Normally, you're going to miss it by 1. No matter what the number is, you're going to miss it by 1. But on the rare chance that you actually do hit, you never roll a 6 for the damage.
You always hit the arms.
Yep.
The enemy mech shields itself and you just hit the arms, bounce off. You spend all that time and you're going to take more leg damage than was worth it.
And then you're going to be prone, and then you once again don't last the next turn. Ugh. So it's a really, 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 really cool idea that almost never, ever, ever pays off. No. You will find some epic stories about somebody winning the game with the DFA. They're lying.
It happens, but it doesn't. No. I like Death from Above. I like the option. I don't like how complicated it is, but I also know that's a almost completely thematic narrative thing rather than here's a tactical choice that someone made. No, it looks cool, so they made it rules.
And I admit I use it when I think it is appropriate. That is not something that I ever say, I will never do that. It is in my wheelhouse. I will pull that out sometimes.
Now, it's the next thing in your wheelhouse, though, is the other Battle Mech manual / quick sheet. The literal, it's on the front cover of a game of Armored Combat.
So
we're talking about the club attack.
Funny story.
We're talking about battle masters beating enemies with the legs of a catapult.
With their own limbs. Or the limbs of their friends.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, which is somewhat even worse. This is one of those weird things that you look at and you're like, why? And when I started, the Hatchetman hadn't even been invented. There were no melee weapons. We had the 16 mechs, and we had the ability to grab a tree out of a woods hex, or a girder out of a rubble hex, or an arm or a leg of a mech that had it blown off due to a crit. And we had the ability to beat the opponent to death with it. And it was awesome. And we all did it because it was cool. We didn't have melee weapons. There were no hatchets or swords or axes. Like, this was it. And it was glorious.
Glorious.
So I used to use those a lot. I almost never, ever use a club these days.
It's hard to like make it work because you can't use anything in your arms.
Well, you have to spend a turn finding one.
Yeah.
You have to go to the woods hex and you have to select a tree and you have to break it off. And that's what you're doing that turn.
You got to pick the right tree. That takes a whole turn.
2 working hand actuators. And then you have to swing this thing, and it does damage on the full body table. So it's not like you're going to get a 1 in 6 chance of Babe Ruthing that guy's head off.
That would be good.
It would be.
We can't be there anymore.
Yeah, so it's like doing a kick on the full body table.
Yeah. It's -1 though. To hit.
True, it is -1 to hit. Also, if you're using a tree or I think a girder, it's a one-shot use. You destroy that thing that you hit them with. So you can't even use it twice without going to find another one.
I mean, I could see like a charger doing that, but I feel like the charger's going to charge instead of, grab a tree and,
well, unless it has
Louisville Slugger around
problem or something. Yeah. So it still has the weight behind it. Once again, it's because giant stompy robots, it's so cool to think of them grabbing trees and girders out and smashing each other, especially when, if you've got AC5s and PPCs that all have minimum ranges and you're nice and close. So it's something else you can do.
So it's less risky than a kick, because if you fail, nothing happens. Partial reward because it's a kick damage.
Because that I don't have the notes open. That's going from memory because we used to use clubs all the time.
Yeah. I mean, a basic club attack, -1. Cool. Now, the key thing is if you find a blown off mech limb, that limb is not destroyed per attack.
Right. That's a permanent club.
That's a permanent club. That's a Myomer enhanced club.
Same damage, but yes.
Yes. Trees are one use only. You said for trees, you just have to go into a woods and then spend a turn picking up a tree. Can't do anything else. You're picking up a tree. You got to select that right tree. The problem is if you're looking for a girder, because if you're on a terrain that doesn't have trees, I guess, you have to roll a 7-up in the rubble to medium building, a 6-up for a heavy, and a 5 for a hardened building. And girders can be reused regardless of the number of successful attacks. So really, trees are worthless. You're going to spend 2 to 3 turns looking in rubble for a girder, or just blow a mech's, limb off and just
if you
use
get
that.
Lucky enough to get that double 6 for the crit number of crits, and you blow that arm or leg off. Yep, you get yourself a permanent club the rest of the game.
Now, I mean, this is a little more homebrewy, but would you allow mechs to just start with clubs if they wanted to? Like a girder?
If there are woods or rubble in their deployment zone, 100%. If there are not woods or rubble, then I would say no. But yes, I would say...
Like this one guy can't just take along his favorite, mech leg, the Old Faithful, Old Reliable.
No, that's a reward.
Oh,
if we're playing role playing, that with role playing games, like anything goes. It's the rule of cool. Absolutely, he could have his favorite battle master leg that he drags along behind him. But for regular pickup games, no.
We need a mech from like Kentucky so we can just have the Louisville Slugger, welded onto the side of the leg. But
yeah,
Yeah, you like it. But yeah, those are the only things I can think of. It's like, if you could start with it, if it was just a free option to start with it, it'd probably be better.
There'd be some fun scenarios we could make that everybody starts with a club.
We call it mech baseball, mech ball. What is it? I guess the closest thing would be the urban mech, and you gotta. It's pinata. It's a pinata.
It is.
Urban mech's got to run first one to crack it open.
Yep.
God, this is terrible.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Okay, so these are like Game of Armor combat rules options for melee. Punching, kicking, pushing, charging, death or above, and clubbing.
These are what I would call the intro tech rules of melee combat.
Do you have a particular favorite one? Like the one that's always got its like this nice polished spot in the toolbox. Like when you bring it out, you're like, oh yeah, it's time for Denham to do his work.
Kick is the most useful in most situations. I would say it is the most used in that toolbox. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it is my most used.
Same.
Yeah. I think a good club, a good beating someone to death with the leg or arm of their lance mate is probably my favorite. It just doesn't happen very often.
I mean, I wish I could beat more people with clubs. Maybe next campaign day, I'll spawn all the pirate mechs with clubs.
That would be so fun.
It's like, I the DM will know the rules, and the players won't. And they'll wonder, why the mechs with no. But yeah, I want to like clubs and death from above more. I want charging more. But I want to say pushing's my go-to. Like being able to displace, essentially change the opponent's movement phase. Like he really wanted to be there, and now I've messed him up. Like,
especially if you're playing against that opponent who likes to think several moves ahead, and they know I can make it here into these woods for cover, and then you push them out. Now it's not till after the weapons phase, so they still get those woods for cover during the weapons phase. But then it throws the rest of their calculations off. Like I can't now jump to this spot that I wanted to go to because I'm not in the spot that I'm supposed to be in. Or I don't get the objective point because I'm no longer close enough to the objective now.
Yeah.
Or I really shouldn't have taken cover on a level 4 hill.
The answer for snipers is push them off. Now, can you push if you can only see their legs? That's my only question.
I believe that a push, you need to be on the same level as the opponent.
That's what I thought.
A charge, you do not have to be.
So there are times when one is physically impossible, even though it's what you want to do.
Yes, so push attack must be made at the same level as the attacker.
Alrighty, are you ready to deep dive into the second half of Melee, which is all the fun? Man. This is when they take you, the boxing champion, into like the armory. It's like, hey, you want spiked gloves? No? You want a sledgehammer?
Yeah, the periphery guy who makes it to Solaris for the first time and just looks around and sees his first melee match in Solaris. What does he see?
Yeah, he sees a bunch of insane people for what they've designed.
Yeah.
So we're just going to start. We're going to go alphabetical because it's easier that way.
So the first group that we're going to mention are all found in the Battle Mech Manual.
Yeah.
Most of these are also found in Total Warfare, but we'll go into the ones that are only in Total Warfare afterwards.
Yeah. So we're just going to spend a couple minutes on each one because these are a little bit more unique.
Right, we could.
Yeah. Mechs can do those except Death from Above. That's kind of like the odd man out for intro. But
gotta have jump jets. I'm actually asked that quite a bit. I'm asked, can I just step off of this cliff and DFA the mech who's 3 levels below me? And the answer is no. You have to have jump jets to do DFA.
You can't just throw yourself off.
You cannot intentionally jump off of a cliff. You cannot do it.
Even if your friends do it, you can't.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so let's talk about claws.
Claws.
This isn't. We're not talking about the Santa Claus here, but
Kodiak base Kodiak.
Oh, poor Kodiak. Doesn't actually have claws.
I know. I mean, but you want it to.
In its heart, it thinks it has claws, but it actually doesn't. But you know, it does have claws. The new Contio.
The Contio looks so cool.
Yeah, those claws actually work. Those aren't fake claws. Those aren't fake Ghost Bear claws. Imagine
that's in the Ilclan rec guides.
Yeah,
it is an amazing beast.
But
so what do claws do in a nutshell? What are claws?
Claws are +1 to hit, so a little bit harder. They take the place of a hand actuator. And claws are like in between a punch and a kick. They inflict 1 point of every damage for every 7 tons of weight for the attacker.
Now, is this in these, because they're like a punch, they are on the punch table, and you do get double damage for TSM. So before we get into all these, let us briefly go over some of the modifiers you might get coming into these Battle Mech Manual type of things. We have some things that can affect your physical attacks. One of the most common you'll ever see is triple strength Myomer. Even though it's triple strength, it only doubles your melee damage potential.
Now that's because your Myomers are actually already the double, right? Like triple strength is just, 1 more times better than yours.
Yes.
Look, I don't do the marketing for triple strength Myomer here.
At least they don't blow up when you expose them to special magic gas.
That's true. And they're better than industrial quadruple strength Myomer.
Right, which is also weird. But
we're talking about regular triple strength.
You heat your mech up to 9 heat. You can move one speed, like walking speed faster. And your physical attacks are doubled. But not all physical attack weapons take advantage of that. Punches, yes. Kicks, absolutely. So clubs definitely take advantage of triple strength Myomer. Claws for certain do, and they roll on the punch table. So that's pretty nice. Problem with claws is that if you're doing role-playing type stuff and you're trying to pick up objectives, you have a chance of crushing or destroying the objective. And if it's a person, you have a very good chance of crushing or destroying the person you're trying to rescue. So they're not bad.
It's double the damage for punch, kick, and club attacks, as well as some physical attacks. So then you got to go to those some physical attacks.
Yeah.
All right, affected by TSM. We got the backhoe, we got the hatchet, we got the retractable blade, and we have the sword. From Total Warfare. Now, the
right, that's from Total Warfare. That's missing a couple of these, but it doesn't mention charges or DFAs. I don't think they are affected by triple strength Myomer because you're not swinging a weapon, you're just jumping on them, and physics, like TSM does not affect your mass.
Correct. It just makes you heavier for math purposes.
Right.
Now, the key thing about the extra movement turning TSM, triple strength Myomer, on is you increase the mech's walking movement points by 2, but then you recalculate its running.
Well, you increase it by 2, but you're hot, so that also reduces it by 1, which is cumulative. So you have a net gain of 1 walking, and then you recalculate your running, which does increase your charge damage tangentially, because your movement, you move faster. So you do more damage for a charge, but it doesn't double the damage for a charge.
Yeah. Why is it so complicated? Why can't melee things just be simple? Like, I've got triple strength Myomer. I count myself as, X heavier.
I don't know. It does make sense on its own level. It's what I'm used to, so I'm happy with it.
Yeah.
However, okay, so claws in a nutshell, they're +1 to hit. They do 1 damage per 7 tons. They are rolled on the hit location, the punch location table, and you do get TSM bonuses. Yeah. So cool. Next one is a little weird. Next one is a flail, and it's exactly what you think. It's a spiky ball on a chain that you swing around. This is designed specifically for Solaris. There is no 2-hit modifier for it. It just does 9 damage. It is not affected by TSM because you're not using leverage. You're just swinging a spiky ball around. So it either hits or it doesn't. If it hits, it does 9 damage. It doesn't matter how much you weigh. The location table is the full body because it can hit anywhere. But if you miss, you have a chance of hitting yourself for 5 points of damage and knocking yourself over. And that is also rolled on the full body location. You do 5 points on the full body, and you have to make a PSR.
Who decided this was a good weapon to like make
Good or
rules
bad?
for and then put it into the battle mech manual? Like,
Right, that's what got me, is that I can see making a flail. It sounds fun, especially for arena combat. But this seems like it should go in a Solaris box set or the advanced rules, like the tactical operations book. I don't see this being used enough to get it a spot in the standard tournament rulebook like Battle Mech Manual is supposed to be. So yeah, I question that one.
I got questions. All right. Name me one mech with a flail.
There's a custom mech that I know that has a flail. I cannot name you one from like I assume if you go to Mega Mech and you filter by flail, like I don't think any come up.
One.
What? Oh,
You get one. Well,
Is it one that I would know?
the Aqua Gladius.
Oh, of course. Yes. Yeah. No, nobody knows that one. It was designed specifically for Solaris. I guarantee
Exactly.
it.
So don't even.
So how about normal melee weapons? Ones that you
Normal?
do see on more than one mech.
All right. So we're going to go with the most common one that I think everyone else sees, and that's the hatchet.
Yes.
There are mechs
The hatchet.
named after the hatchet.
Yes, and those the hatchet can come in various sizes and shapes. So you have the hatchet man who has a hatchet, the axe man who has a larger hatchet, or the Black Knight that has a sword-shaped hatchet, but it is still a hatchet. There are swords, but the Black Knight has a sword-shaped hatchet according to its fluff text.
I feel like they just hatchet is any generic melee weapon, like extra generic.
Right. It can have many shapes and sizes, but it operates the same.
Yeah.
So that's your standard -1 to hit. It does kick damage, so 1 damage per 5 tons. It is affected by triple strength, but this is the first one we see where the hit location table is optional. So instead of it going just on the standard full body table, if instead of the -1 to hit, you add an additional +4 to make it a +3 total, you can instead choose to hatchet just the punch table. So you can take that kick damage and a 1 in 6 chance hits you in the head. If you're playing with someone with a nice low piloting skill, this is almost always the way to go.
Just that
so
dedicated melee hatchet man.
Yeah.
It's just like there.
So if you're
lop
going
heads
after,
off. Yeah.
if you're going after the slow assault mechs and you've got a 2 or 3 piloting, instead of the -1 to hit, go with the +3 to hit and get that head chance.
I mean, I like it. I've never used that part of the hatchet, and I've used a lot of hatchets.
Like I said, I only do it if I have a nice low piloting skill to begin with. I don't tend to do it with the standard 4 or 5 pilot gunners.
I mean, I feel like you take a hatchet for all the easy to hit. Like, it's a kick, full body kick. I'll take that. I'm not going to risk getting into melee range, and I can only do one. I can't kick and hatchet.
Right.
So if I'm
it's not like a punch. It's not like a punch where you can do two of them. Even if you have two hatchets, you still can only do one per turn.
Look, the second sword, quote unquote, is just for cool points. Nobody uses two swords in combat.
Right. Oh, sorry. Going back to the claws. The claws, like punches, can be used. You can do two of those in one turn. So one of the very, very few melee weapons that you can use twice in the same phase.
Yeah, I really like hatchets. Like, I mean, they are the first like dedicated melee weapon, so I think they got a lot of love and a lot of like use.
They do. They do have problems. Like,
tell me these problems.
When they first came out, I don't know if they actually were or if it was just assumed that hatchets were always on the punch table. And so those of us who played with them in the early days played as if hatchets were always rolled on the punch table. And therefore, when we found out that they were on the full body table, it felt like a nerf to us, even though it may not have been a nerf. So there are kind of bad feelings about that. But it
was never intended to be that cool.
In general, I like mechs with melee weapons for the times when you need them. I like my Hatamoto Chi. I like my Nodachi. I like my Nodachi. I like my Hatamoto Chi. I like those both a lot.
Here's another weapon that I've always thought is cool, but never used.
I was going to say the same thing. I thought it sounded cool. I have never actually gotten around to using one.
And that's the Battletech or Battle Mech Lance. Which
yes.
We're not talking about a group of 4 mechs that decided to work together. We're talking about the knights of old using pointy sticks. So a lance attacks with a +1, so it's harder to hit. Inflicts 1 point of damage for every 5 tons the mech weighs, so kicking. In addition, if armor remains after a lance attack, the attacker rolls 2d6. On a 10-up, a single point of damage is applied to internal structure. Roll for a critical at -2.
Right. So you can poke the holes. It's kind of cool.
That's the cool part of it. Like,
it's also on the full body table and affected by TSM. But yeah, the cool part is it can poke holes in your armor. Imagine
a mech just like poking you in the head in the cockpit, doing 1 point of damage. Like, you still need a 10-up. On a 10-up, a single point of damage is applied. So it's not guaranteed. It's actually low chance.
But then once you do, you only need a 6 to get a crit.
Yeah. And that's -2, which means location destroyed on a 10-up?
Yes. Yeah, you can knock someone's arm off on rolling a 10-up. No, arm or leg off. Yeah, you can.
That's a lot.
Yeah, because you just wedge that lance in and pop that sucker right out of its socket. Oh. So it has potential. Someday I'll use one. I haven't yet.
You know what? I'm going to make it. Recording this episode, I'm going to use a lance next time I play a game of Classic.
Okay.
Because I have a Dolo Wire.
I would say you use a Dolo Wire, or you have one. So
I love the Dolo Wire, and it has a variant with the Lance, that and the Night Stalker. So there are mechs out there, like reasonably not obscure mechs that use lances. Surprisingly, Lancelot does not use lances, and I'm disappointed. I'm quite disappointed in this. If we can name a mech the Hatchetman and it uses a hatchet, you would think Lancelot uses a lot of lance. I have a lot of grievances with this episode, and we're starting here.
Are there no variants of the Lancelot that use a lance?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that is disappointing.
Let's move on. We've got the Mace, another more Solaris-themed one. That is...
Yep. It does a lot of damage. Like, it's the +1 to hit. It does 1 damage per 4 tons. So more than a kick. More damage than a kick. It also has the option of hitting on the punch table, but because it's already a +1, that makes it a +5 to aim for the upper body. Also uses TSM, but if you miss, you have to make a PSR or fall over because you lifted too far over your head and it drags you down. It has a chance of knocking you over at a +2 to your PSR if you miss every time.
So bad.
So yeah, it's like a kick, but worse. More damage, better chance of hitting the head, but you might fall every time you miss. So make sure you use really good pilots to use this. Definitely a Solaris type thing.
Yeah, and there are more mechs that have maces. Like you've got the Storm Raider, which is more Lyran. You've actually got a Nodachi variant that uses it, and some Mjolnirs and some cudgels. So the mace is not relegated to, obscurity, but it's not on any like mainline mechs. So,
all right, the next one on the list has a special place at my games, and we're talking about the retractable blade, and that is a blade that literally pops out of the forearm of the mech. You decide if it's out or if it's in. If it's in, then you can't tell, and then it goes all Wolverine, and it's just rawr. It's a -2 to hit. It is not affected by an absent or damaged hand actuator because it's not held in the hand. It's like in the forearm of the mech. So -2 to hit. It does standard punch damage, so it's 1 per 10. Because it's a long weapon, it defaults to the standard, but it has that option of hitting the punch table. Since it's a -2, it's only going to go up to a +2 to get punch hits. And it is affected by TSM. That's all cool and all. But the optional rule that is in the Battle Mech manual, that's what makes this weapon very, very cool. So my brother, I told you about my brother who's got his spider that we made. It's the one that jumps like 8, but it's got the partial wing, it's got the medium pulse lasers, it's super mobile, and he put retractable blades, 1 in each arm. So with the optional rule, if a mech hits with a punch attack and that arm has a retractable blade, which is currently retracted, its controller can immediately extend that blade. This inflicts a possible critical hit in the location struck by the punch attack, regardless of whether internal structure was damaged or not. If it does hit the internal structure, it's 2 possible checks. The attacker must then immediately roll a 2d6, and on a result of 10 or higher, the blade snaps off and it's destroyed. So instead of having like a blade come out and you're rolling on the full body table, you just punch. You do your standard punch, 1 in 6 chance to hit the head, but then that blade pops out and gets an instant critical chance for every punch. And that is so deadly. It is amazingly awesome.
But if it breaks off, you can still use your hand if they have weapons. So it's not really
Correct.
like too limiting.
Right, and you still have another one on the other arm if you took 2. So one of your punches is normal and one gets a crit chance. Yeah.
Now
it's on a spider or something light that can jump behind someone and get those torso ammo crits or head crits. It is deadly and dangerous.
And the best part about this is it's on a bunch of mechs. It's on a bunch of mechs that people don't like.
Right, it's Celestials, if I recall correct.
Yeah, a retractable blade is very much a Word of Blake terror weapon, and
Yes.
It's terrifying because automatic crits and just ugh.
You know what mech it is not on?
What?
The Wolverine.
Look, that was copyright infringement, and the lawyers would have been all over BattleTech.
That is true. It's still a missed opportunity.
We got the Contio. That's the best we can do.
Yeah. Lots of custom Wolverines have them, but no standard ones out of the book.
So let's go to the boring blade. You would think the Caretans would be studying this all day, but I don't know. It's just a sword, just a basic sword. When we have lances and retractable blades and claws, why would anyone take just regular old sword?
I mean, it is easier to hit than a hatchet. It does more damage than a punch, slightly, but it's not a sword-shaped hatchet. It's an actual sword, and I think that's what the Cretans were going for. Was that they're like, this is not the best weapon, but it is ours, and yeah, it's on a lot of their mechs, like the Nodachi and Harabochi. Those are actual swords. So, like the differences between that and a hatchet, like I said, it's a -2 to hit instead of a -1. You do 1 damage per 10 tons of the attacking mech +1. It is also affected by triple strength mimer, and it has the option of hitting the punch table. But that's it. Nothing else that's special.
Yeah, I do like how it does plus a single additional point of damage. I don't know why.
If you have a 50-ton mech, so instead of a 60-ton mech, if you got a 50-ton mech with a sword, that does 6 points of damage, and with TSM, that makes it 12 points of damage, which means that a 50-ton mech can run around lopping heads off.
Okay, that's a little bit more palatable. I will accept that. Yeah, I don't know. I do like the easiness of it. Like, there is something to be said about -2 to hit.
Right.
Which
makes it just a +2 to do on the punch table, which is not bad.
That's a weak half effort kick.
So I do use it, and I do especially use it on my Dodachi with TSM with MRMs. It makes people afraid of you. So it is an area controlling mech where he goes. People tend to not get in his face.
I guess the way I can look at it is it's a medium pulse laser. It's an intersphere medium pulse laser. It's -2, like you said, on a your average medium mech. It's going to be 6 damage. I don't love it, but I tolerate it because it's
no heat.
For no heat, it's almost heat immune. I think that's a better way. Yeah.
It's much more frightening that it is effective. That is for certain, at least in my experience of using them.
That sounds about right.
But sometimes that's all you need. All right, the next one is not one I know very much about, so I'm going to let you take that one.
Oh, we're talking about talons. We're talking about Jade Falcons. We're terrifying people, and we make bird sounds, so we're going to make bird weapons for our bird people.
Caw-caw.
Caw-caw. Talons have to go on the feet, which is different than everything else. The good part about talons, though, is when kicking or performing a death from above attack, a unit equipped with them multiplies the damage by 1.5. And then, of course, rounded to the nearest whole number, blah, 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 0.5 rounds up, that kind of stuff. If a mech equipped with talons is also equipped with triple strength mimer, it applies to kicks. That's a lot. But not death from above.
Death from above.
You can still get...
So an urban mech could actually get 9 points of damage.
Yeah. Now, so your TSM will affect the kicks. So essentially you get something free for each one. I guess that's the best way for me to describe it is you can get the bonus to death from above with the talons, and you can get a bonus for kicking with TSM.
Yes.
So, which you can't do normally both. So that kind of keeps it from being a super OP, murderating weapon.
Right. And I think the most well-known, if you read the books, mech with talons is the Jade Phoenix. I've read stories about that, where it's going around DFAing people, as Jade Falcons do.
Yeah.
And doing massive amounts of damage.
Do you know what also has talons on it?
No.
The Turkina X.
Oh, why not?
Yeah, why? Because why not? Why not? But a kick from that times 1.5.
Yeah, that's 30 points?
Yeah, I don't like that.
No.
Now, the thing is they weigh 1 ton for every 15 tons. They must be placed in both legs. So they do weigh a bit, and they do take up space. So they're not like a free real estate kind of weapon.
Right. But it's definitely like one of those faction things or rule of cool things. It's something you put on to make your lance special and different.
Yeah. I like them. I've thought about using them. I have not used them. If I know exactly, people would put them on a spider and make a spider, jumping and kicking and death from aboving, an insanely terrifying thing. But yeah, they're like the one melee weapon that Clan is okay with, and I don't know why.
Because Jade Falcons went crazy at that time. They literally went insane. So that those rules went out the window.
All the rest of the clans are like, gross, but I'm not touching that.
That's right.
Alrighty. Next and last one for the Battle Mech manual is the Vibro Blade.
Yeah, this is one that I've...
Are these chain swords?
Well, I was thinking more like beam sabers from Gundam. But
no, because beam saber's just like energy. Beam saber is a knockoff lightsaber.
yeah, which is what a vibroblade is. It's a blade that vibrates so hot that it becomes like a white hot thing that slices through metal like it's butter. Chainsword goes whirr and it cuts through it, but a beam saber, it's like or vibroblade is an early lightsaber. It's a lightsaber that's based.
I'm gonna have to hard disagree on that, but because there's no. Have
you read the Grey Death Legion?
I have not.
Oh yeah, I mean, like the first scene is the guy murdering someone with a vibroblade, and they're talking about how it glows white hot, and it just slices through this thick metal like it's not there. It's very heavy lightsaber vibes off of this weapon.
So this is like the knockoff of the lightsaber.
Yes.
Okay.
So
maybe
like a beam saber.
Reject chainsword, maybe.
It is definitely not a chainsword.
But no matter what, they take heat to turn on.
Right.
So that's the hard part. Is these are like a weapon in the sense of they require heat to turn on, and when they are on, they just do flat damage.
Right, but remember, heat doesn't affect you for melee attacks. But it will like cause other ammo to explode, or it will make you slow down, but it won't affect your accuracy.
Yeah.
So when it's turned off, like it's just a sword.
Yeah.
If it's turned off, you can use TSM for damage, but it can never do more damage than it can do when it's turned on.
Which makes sense.
You can't game the system to say that I've got this vibroblade, but I don't want to use the heat. But I could use TSM to do super extra mega damage. You can't. It will never do as much as it does when it's turned on. Yeah. There are different sizes.
Now that's the key thing is you can throw a large vibroblade onto a small mech, like on a light mech. It's just if you can fit it, essentially. There's no restrictions like large mechs get large vibroblades. It's whatever you fit, you get. Now the small vibroblade does 7 points, medium does 10, and the large does 14. That's pretty good. I accept discrete damages.
When it is activated, it does not use TSM because you are not using the strength of your mech's arm to cut through the other mech. You are using the lightsaber type qualities of the highly vibrating blade that is glowing whatever color you choose to have it glow.
Yeah, I've actually used these. I like these. I've used it on the Dola, which is a little like Capellan jumping mech. So it's kind of like, their version of the spider, jumps around, stabs you. And they use medium vibroblades. So you've got a 30-ton mech running around doing 10 points of damage with melee. That's pretty good. I like that.
That is really good. Yeah.
Like turning on for heat. You're not normally shooting. And if you are, you can spare one turn of heat sinks.
Right, and it's 10 points of damage, and because it's a sword-type weapon, if you're aiming for the upper body, it's only a +2 instead of a -2. So not too bad. If you roll a 10 and get that head, it's going to go internal.
Yeah.
So you're going to get at least a possible crit. For a lighter, faster mech, I think that's a great weapon. Put all the play. That's gonna be one of your like if you're super cheesy, that's your 8 gunnery 2 piloting guy that you've got out there.
I love it. It's so wrong, so cheesy, but I love it. You actually have because this is also a Draconis Combine weapon.
Yeah,
of course. It's also on the Rokubi, one of Dustin's favorites. So that's it for Battle Mech Manual, which I want to say are the more popular of the melee weapons. Yeah. I should say that.
Because I was going to say this next group that we've got, like, I have heard of these. I have never used any of them. I don't really have a desire to use any of them unless I'm playing the clicky tech stuff again, which I don't want to do.
All right. So there's really like there's 8 of them. So can we do 8 in 8 minutes? Maybe 8 in 4 minutes?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is it now that we're past the Battle Mech Manual, we're just going to do the barest descriptions. We're not going to go over like how much damage they do, because reading them, you're going to know it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Either you're into it and you're using it and you've got the rules, or you're not into it and you're just like, wow, they are using that. Huh. So yeah, we're just going to start going down the list. What are some of the crazy...
This is the smasher pass of the melee weapons. So, all right. We're starting with Total Warfare melee weapons. The backhoe. Are we smashing or passing with this one?
I'm passing.
You're passing? I mean, it's literally designed to smash. It does 6 + 1d6 versus buildings and just 6 damage versus mechs.
I understand. I'm passing.
Okay, no, it's a hard pass.
Okay, the only way that I would not is if I had a mech that looked like Devastator from the Transformers, and one of his arms was the backhoe. Then I'm all in.
It's affected by TSM though, so
yeah,
you can make your Devastator. Now you have to make the Devastator mech with the Devastator backhoe.
All right, I'm still passing on that one.
Okay, pass. Chainsaw, literal actual logging mech chainsaws.
Chainsaw. I have been a fan of the movie Robot Jox far too long for me to pass up on this. I am absolutely taking the chainsaw, and I think of Robot Jox every time I'll use it.
Did you know that chainsaws can clear woods more effectively than by hand? You can reduce heavy woods to light woods and light woods to rough terrain in one turn.
Yep.
If you have 2 units with chainsaws, they can go heavy woods to no woods in one turn.
Sounds fun.
Pass or
I will
smash?
use a chainsaw. Smash.
Okay.
Smash.
You're gonna smash with it. Okay.
I am.
I'm mad that there's a specific use for it, and that's clearing woods. And just for that, I'm gonna have to pass. I don't respect it. Oh man, combines, and this is not the Draconis combine. This is gotta collect all the corn before the frost. Johnny, get in the combine. Oh, God.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. We're not even.
I would like to pass. I would like to pass.
We're not even going to cover it. It's a -2, and it does 3 damage. If it's against infantry, it's 1d6.
If conventional infantry is 1d6, you're just mowing the lawn. And that's conventional infantry, not like battle armor.
Battle armor takes 3.
But the horror, like the one guy who doesn't get mowed up, like how does he explain, his level of PTSD is just, it's...
The PTSD for the guy with the combine. He's the farmer mech out there just like mowing guys down. Oh, God. I'm going to pass on this one as well.
I'm going to pass on the combine.
Dual saws, because you know what's better than having 1 saw? 2 saws.
Okay, well, it can be used to clear woods as a chainsaw. No, I like the chainsaw because of that specific movie. I have dual saw. I guess in my Solaris arenas, I would certainly have that as an op4 against you. I may not have it on one of my personal mechs, but I will put it on mechs that I throw against you.
It's very fun and flavorful.
Yeah.
Of course, it does more damage to buildings than it does mechs.
Yeah.
And you can mow down regular infantry with it as well. God, why are those poor infantry have suffered enough?
So much of this thing is definitely Dark Age type of stuff. Like these melee weapons are because of the time in which people took all their aggro mechs and they had to fight battles with them. So they had to come up with stats and they went a little bit crazy.
And we're here suffering through them.
We are. And that's why we're not spending a lot of time, because I'm not really going to use these.
If you don't like that, you can send your hate mail to the Mechbay podcast at gmail.com.
Yep,
we'll read it.
Once again, the next one, absolutely, I will use against you. I will never put it on one of my mechs, but it is a boss mech weapon for sure.
Yeah, it's a hard pass, though.
And that's the heavy-duty pile driver.
Oh. This is like the heaviest one so far out of all of them. It does 9 damage.
Yeah.
But it's a +2.
Yeah, it's a massive and clumsy, so it's just like you're going around trying to smash things. So if it does, you're in trouble. But if not, it's fun to dash around and yeah, it's a boss mech. It's a Solaris boss mech weapon.
My only thought is I wish these were better. Like they have an alternate, like they do X damage against a mech and then X plus D6 against buildings. If they just did like extreme damage to buildings, I feel like they would actually be more useful in classic games.
Yeah, a D6 damage isn't enough to really make a difference on a building.
No,
not really.
Like having a mech that's specifically designed to breach walls of fortresses or cities to make holes and really open up mobility. I could see these being useful and being cool, like really cool.
Yeah,
at doing that. But there's no better than just putting a Charger or Atlas up to it and just, all right, kick the building down.
Right, because a pile driver does 9 plus 1d6, whether it's on a light mech or an assault mech.
Yeah.
Like it's the same. So, yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed 100%.
All right, mining drill.
I mean, no, pass.
It's -1 to hit for 4 damage.
Sure, and it's a big drill on your arm, and you can make like cool quotes when you hit somebody. You're like, "Screw you," just like Arnold in the one movie where he went to Mars.
Total Recall.
Total Recall, yeah.
I recalled that.
Yeah, good job.
Boo.
So I'm going to pass that anyway.
Yeah, me too. All right, Rock Cutter, 5 damage.
Pass.
This one is the big one. This is 5 plus 3d6 to buildings.
Yeah, but it's awkward.
Plus 1.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, no, I mean, that's the thing. If I have a little mech that wants to get through a building, I guess maybe put a Rock Cutter on it. Maybe. Like, it's specifically designed to get through a building. If you're lucky.
Yeah, because it's 5 plus 3d6. So, yeah, at least it does like a little bit more. But still, no. There are better weapons for that, as we'll see. Like the Spot Welder.
Oh, boy.
I mean, it's... No. It's what? A little welding gun where you go... Psst, psst.
What you gonna do with that medium laser that's glued to a spot welder for 5 damage?
It's a medium laser with a range of 1.
Oh, buddy. I'm sorry. Spot welders. Pass.
Yeah. The next one, though. The Wrecking Ball. Now, that does 8 damage on a regular target, or 8 plus 46 versus buildings. That's 4 6-sided die, not 46.
I wish. I'd be taking it. I'd be taking it like Smasherator.
I mean, you could do 32 points of damage if you rolled really high to a building.
You're not that good.
No, never.
But you can also hit yourself if you miss, because
which again makes this fun. So you can absolutely miss and slam it into yourself.
Yeah, these are all fun. They're just bad. Like and I understand if you were in the Dark Age and this was all you had, you're gonna look at these like, okay, these are cool, maybe not, and maybe. But there's a reason why they're not being put on regular battle mechs,
right? And it suffers from the from that whole, well, we made the clicky tech thing, and now we're getting back into regular battle tech, and we have to convert these things to regular battle tech rules and make them fun. And I think they just went a little bit overboard.
Yeah.
But the Wrecking Ball, yeah, I'd take that.
So that's it for Total Warfare's, special
and these would
section.
not be used in the normal like the house battles on Solaris. These are the back alley, like the other the minor leagues of Solaris.
These are two drunk construction companies, fighting over a new bid for who gets to build the parking garage.
100%.
Do you have a least hated one? I guess that's the best way to put it.
I mean, the chainsaw for sure. But once again, just because of Robot Jox. If you haven't seen Robot Jox, go watch it. It's on Amazon Prime right now. It is so much a battle tech movie. It's like the intro of the clans before Kerensky left type of thing. Like it has the test to the Iron Womb pilots, versus the Inner Sphere pilots. It has the mechs. It is one of the best horrible movies that I've ever seen. I made my kids watch it.
Oh, why would you do that? You're a terrible father.
And I'm going to make them watch it again until they thank me for it.
That's called Stockholm Syndrome. And yeah. All right. On to the tactical operations, because, you know, the melee weapons are spread all across the universe. And we got some whips and some chains, because they excite me. So they attached both of them together to a chain whip.
Now this one is weird because it's different than the flail in that you can trap a mech and make it not move, which I know is why you like it, Josh, because it's a control mechanism. So if you want a mech to not go in a certain space, you can get somebody to chain him, to tangle him up in the whip and not let him move. It's not easy.
No, and there's not even any like legal mechs that use it.
No, I don't know if there are. It's like this is advanced unit and equipment level of stuff. This is in the special rule book. You have to get to tactical operations to even read about this.
Yeah, so it's cool. You can grapple. You can tie people up. You can do weird BDSM stuff to mechs. But that's all I'm going to say about it.
Right. TSM is weird on here. It doesn't add additional damage, but it makes grabbing a mech easier unless the target mech also has TSM, which counters it. It's weird. It's so weird. It's like, oh, I want to play with melee weapons, but I want my games to last 3 times as long.
All right. You know what? Trebuchets. There's 2 trebuchets that take chain whips.
Nice.
There is a Templar and a Dasher too.
When you've played this game for 7,000 hours, you are allowed to start using chain whips. It'd be fun. They look fun. It's just, it's a lot of rules. It's very, very crunchy.
Now for one that's actually good, I like, and shouldn't be saved for the last. But unfortunately, the rules are actually still in TAC Ops and not anything else, which is the problem. We're talking about the shield.
See, the shield, I almost think that the shield should have gone in the battle mech manual.
It should.
And not the chain and not the flail. It's kind of cool. Like when we talk about the beam sabers for Gundam, like these are the shields that they carry around when they're flying around.
Yeah. Probably the most well-known is the Black Knight has a couple variants with shields. They're more like Solaris styled in general. And
I have played against a Black Knight with a shield. Was it yours? Have you ever played one with a shield? Okay, I've played against someone who had a Black Knight with a shield, and it was impressive. The big problem is that if you blow up the shield, it is not ejectable. Like you can't let go of it. So you've got a useless shield on your arm slowing you down, but it's not providing any bonuses.
Yeah, but that's the hard part.
Yeah, it does give you defense bonuses. It's pretty cool. And they come in different sizes.
Yeah, small, medium, or large. So whatever you can fit, you can throw it on there. I was going to say, the biggest problem with using a shield is it's +1 to hit. Or it's harder for you to shoot out when you have the shield, like just in general. Right. So you're really trading offense for defense. And that's a hard call. Because...
Well, and it slows you down. Like the heavier ones slow down both your movement and your jumping movement. But you can use it offensively, you can use it defensively, and it has a passive defense bonus,
which I like.
Yeah, it does. It has really good benefits. We're not going to go over everything. It's huge amounts of information. If you're interested in using a shield in your games, go pick up Tactical Operations or look it up on Sarna or wherever. Yeah. It's in the Mega Mech program. If you're designing mechs, play around with it, but definitely go find the rules if you're interested. It's a lot.
All right, we've got our last, special mention, which is spikes, which is fully Solaris. That's literally putting sharp, pointy sticks on your mech.
Right, and all that does is it reduces some of your damage and gives your attacker some damage when he hits you. Unless he's hitting you with a melee weapon, in which case it just reduces damage for you. It doesn't do any damage to them.
I think that's cool. Part of me wishes spikes were on like more dedicated mechs, like spikes on a charger. What's better, small lasers or like doing damage when you run into them? And like
Oh yeah,
body
charger with
flop
spikes.
and start rolling on them like, oh god, the points start hurting.
I read that book. That's a battle dwarf that you're describing.
Oh man, but yeah, no. The problem is on a 2d6 roll, if a location with spikes on a 9 up, the spikes take a hit and are destroyed. So you can lose. They're not permanent either.
They're not, but they're good enough. Like, and that, it just adds to the fiction of them getting, blasted off when they're being used. I agree. I think it should be used more often, but for Solaris, for sure, like I would put spikes on any mech I could.
Yeah, I think
it seems awesome.
Now that we're done with them, we can kind of like take a bird's eye view back of all the melee technology.
Right.
I think
there are some things that we did gloss over or didn't touch on. Like we did touch on triple strength Myomer for sure, but what we didn't mention was the actuator systems that can enhance your melee attacks or help you against PSRs. The AAS system, that gives you a bonus to your melee attack rolls.
Yeah, an extra -1 for kicking is pretty good.
Yeah, and then all the PSRs, because PSRs aren't shared in the different phases. So if you do 18 points of damage in the shooting phase and then 2 more points of damage in the melee phase, those are not added together to make 20. No. You have to do 20 points in the shooting and then an additional 20 points in the melee phase. So if you can come up with some good ways to do that, you can rack up some PSRs pretty quickly in the melee phase.
Yeah, most of these aren't designed to do PSRs. I think most of these are just designed to do damage. Exploit an opening in armor kind of stuff. But I think half of these are much more just like, here's construction rules for your Dark Age style mech. And the other half are like, here's stuff for your Solaris weird, melee weapons. And then you just have like your few basics, like, hands and feet, and then maybe claws, swords, and hatchets, I'd say, are probably the next most common.
So what are some of your favorite melee mechs, Josh?
I hate to say it. Everyone probably knows it. It's the Hatchetman. I mean, it's the Black Knight. Sorry. Yeah. You had everyone thinking for like half a second. No, it's definitely the Clanbuster Black Knight with a hatchet.
The sword-shaped hatchet.
With a sword-shaped hatchet. Because, we didn't invent swords yet. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me. We could shape a hatchet to look like a sword, but we couldn't make the sword look like the hatchet.
Because it wasn't a Draconis mech.
Now, I love it on the Black Knight because it's heat immune. So you can like go crazy on the heat levels. If you've got a clan mech.
You do, Josh, and you do.
If you have something like a clan mech in your front arc, right in front of you, just go all in, ramp your heat up to like 28.
Yep, you're not gonna get an ammo explosion, so you just have to make sure your mech doesn't shut down.
Yeah, and that's after you do melee.
Yep.
So you get a free chance to punch or free hatchet.
Yeah, I forgot that the heat phase is after, or the heat end phase is after the melee phase. So even if you do shut your mech down, that doesn't happen until afterwards. You are correct.
Yeah. So that's like
about that.
Purely designed. I shoot, and here's a little bit extra that doesn't care about all the heat I just generated.
Yep.
My runner-up is probably the Greyhound, my custom mech, and that has claws and some TSM on it for like a couple variants. So it's doing charges most of the time with if it has mask or TSM, because it goes fast and it's heavy.
Yeah.
So it does a lot of damage.
Those charges for it would be amazing.
And then
I will definitely be trying that out.
And then once it's in, it gets one good like sucker punch with a claw.
Well, with claws, you're allowed to get 2 punches in.
Yeah, but one arm's got a large pulse laser.
That's true. All right. Yep. Just one claw. That's all you need.
One claw is all you need. I'm like,
I think maybe I would have done a variant with the retractable blade instead of the claw to get that possible crit.
Maybe I'll put a lance on it. Yeah. If there were more mechs with lances, I would probably run lances more. Like if there were more cannon kind of push the front of the universe mechs with lances. I think those would be cool. I think running at a mech and just like stab, try to roll a 10 up. All right, and
pop that arm off.
Yeah, doesn't make sense. I should poke through and just, but no, I'm poking and ripping it off.
I love it. I love that. Just yeah, visual image of that is just so nice.
Too good. All right, what are your favorite melee mechs then?
All right, as everybody who's played me knows that I like my Kurita, and it's no surprise that the Nodachi comes in at the top of my list for that. It has an actual sword, not a hatchet-shaped sword. It has its TSM, and it has the perfect blend of weapons to get to that 9 heat every time. So it either walks and fires everything, or it runs, doesn't fire one of the medium pulses, but fires the small laser, which does 1 point instead. So you can always get that 9 heat exactly.
Oh.
And then it's got those MRMs, which they aren't going to hit or do any damage. But they're so frightening to see him firing those every turn, because you need it for the heat. And it is a scary mech that if he does get in close, he's going to hit you and it's going to hurt. And since I won't have the gunnery up, but I have the piloting up, I will probably do the punch table more often, trying to get that headshot to do some decapitation with his Vorpal sword.
That's fine. I mean, MRMs are good in their own regard. They're hitting something. It might not be the target that they intend to hit, but they're going to hit something.
They're going to hit something. They got to land somewhere. So that is my favorite one, and I use that quite often.
Yeah.
My other favorite is just the classic Hatchetman. It is not a superb or efficient mech, but it is very common. It is many people's first experience into melee mechs, and I enjoy taking it against people to show them the basics of, here's how melee works. When it works, it's actually quite frightening, but there are counters to it, and you can learn it on this mech.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the Hatchetman's great. Like it's a beautifully designed, simple melee delivery system. It's got jump jets.
It's a little slow, but it does okay.
Yeah. You've got the Hatchetman, you've got the evolved form of the Hatchetman, the Axeman, and then the even more evolved form, in my opinion, the Berserker.
I was going to say the Berserker is definitely the
number 3,
the daddy of the daddy goat of that.
Don't talk to me or my son or his son ever again.
That's right. That is the biggest Billy Goat gruff.
But yeah, that's a lot. I mean, melee is a huge part of BattleTech. Like,
it is.
You can do it
whether you like it or not. It exists.
Yeah.
It will always exist.
Do we have any quick tips on how to not get meleeed, Finn?
Take a mobile mech and don't ever stop in front of somebody.
Don't stand still.
Yeah. Standing still that's when you're going to get hit.
Yeah. You think you're safe in those heavy woods? No, because there's an industrial mech who he's coming his way he's got his dual saws.
Right. So if you're a lighter mech, I mean, speed is key. Speed is your armor. You keep your TMM up, and it's less likely you're going to get hit. If you're a heavy, like an assault slow mech, you have to trust in your armor, and you have to do more damage to the guy with the melee than you do. You have to take that mech down before they take you down. And you cannot, no matter how big and heavy you are, stand on the edge of a cliff or the board, or you're going to get pushed off in a very embarrassing way by the lightest, smallest, fastest mech on the opponent's side.
That Ost Scout doesn't have weapons, but he's got 2 hands, and that's all he needs.
That's right. Push
it somewhere else. Push it over there.
I have been on the pushing and the receiving end of a push attack in the worst times. So
there's never a good time.
It is effective. It is definitely a bad feel move, but it is so fun.
Oh man. All right, so I think that's pretty much it for Melee. I'd also like to remind everyone that you have a month until Southern Assault 2022 here in North Carolina, hosted by Fortress Miniatures and Games. I, Josh of the Mechbay, declare a patrol against any and all who hear this to buy some new mechs and face me in glorious melee combat on November 5th. And if you need to get them painted, head on over to Ares Games and Miniatures and pick up some of their Army Painter line so you can stop being a Grey Death Legion lookalike.
Denham, you want to
Right.
send us home?
Sure. So first of all, like if anybody has their own opinions about Melee, please let us know on the Discord or send us an email. I want to hear your stories because I know that there's some cool stories. I know I'm going to hear some DFA stories. We know they're not real. It's okay. We want to hear them anyway.
I like big fish stories.
Exactly. So you can contact us at mechbaypodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on Facebook and Discord, and a special thank you to all our Patreons. So strap on some claws and spikes and take your mechs into the Dirt League hosted in the back alleys of Solaris VII today.